Hey there guys, and welcome back. On this week's show, we're going to be making a pie lifter. Well, it's another Alternative Tuesdays and another day of playing with ABS. And why not? I mean, there's so many different things that you can make with it. And as I said at the beginning of the show, today we're going to be making a pie lifter, or at least attempting to make a pie lifter. So what we're going to need for this is a piece of 1/8 inch thick ABS. And considering it's fall and pie and pumpkin pie and all that jazz, I thought I would use orange. Well, what we're going to start with in our experiment is a 2-inch wide piece of ABS that is 12 inches long. And we're going to start off by marking our center line on here to draw out the shape of our pie lifter. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a mark at 4 inches at one side, and then on the other side we're going to go 4.5 inches. Now the 4.5 inch side is going to be the part that we lift the pie with. The other side is our handle. So we're just going to run a square line across each one of these just to mark them, just like that. So from the center line on the tip of our pie lifter side, we're going to place a mark that's just 1/4 inch outside of the center line on each side, and then we're going to connect that line to our 90-degree line that we drew in our last step. And what we're going to end up with here is the basic shape of our pie lifter, just like that. So this will end up with a 1/2 inch wide blade at the front and a 2-inch wide blade here. We're just going to get a circle template and draw the circle here at the tip. Now for the handle, I think I would like that to be 1 inch in width. So from the center line, again, we're going to mark out from either side 1/2 inch. And then once we get those marks, we'll just connect the dots to give us the width of our handle. And once you get that marked out, same story as before, make it a little pretty and use a circle template and just round off the end. We're now working back from the tip of the pie lifter. This square line that we drew at the 4.5 inches, I want to come back 2 inches, just like that, and make another line. Now, looking at my design, my fly by the seat of my pants design here, I'm not really liking the length of the handle. I think it's too long because, truth be told, our handle will start from that line that we just drew. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to extend my handle lines here all the way down to the one that we just drew. And once I get that finished, then we'll shorten our handle from this end to make it 4 inches long. So just to clarify our measurements, we have a center line on a 2-inch wide piece of ABS. We've measured from the center line a 1/4 of an inch out and a 1/4 of an inch out to give us our 1/2 inch tip, and then use the circle template to round it. We've connected our lines then to a 90-degree line that we've drawn here that is 4.5 inches from the tip, and connected this line to our 1/2 inch line. We have come back 2 inches and drawn another 90-degree line, and then come back another 4 inches to put a 1 inch wide handle all the way down and rounded it off at the end. Now, what I will do as well here is I will take a circle template and round off this edge and round off this edge, and then we can take it over to the scroll saw and cut it out. And at this point, you should end up with something that looks like this. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to take this over to the belt sander, and I'm very carefully just going to clean up any imperfections here. We've got a bit of a ridge here that I can sand off, and we're going to clean that up. And then what we need to do is pretty much hone the tip of this particular pie lifter. And we're going to do that at the belt sander. Once I get it cleaned up, I'll show you what I'm talking about. Well, now you just want to choose which side of your pie lifter is going to be the side for your pie. And I'm going to use the side with the lines just so that it's easily identifiable. What you want to do is the edge from this line here at the 4.5 inches, these edges here all the way around and back to that line at the 4.5. We want to basically taper this here, hone it or sharpen it a bit to give a bit of a bevel here so we don't have this sharp, thick line of the 1/8 of an inch. And all we're going to do for that is hold it here on the blade or on the sander carefully and just give it a couple touches as if we're honing a blade, being careful as you would with steel not to overheat it, because overheating this is going to melt it and cause a mess. Well, I don't know how well the camera is showing it, but we've got a taper there to really lessen the size or the edge here around this triangular point of our pie lifter. Well, now comes the fun part, and it involves a little bit of heat, and for that heat we're gonna turn over to Mr. Heat Gun. For this next part, I have some scrap pieces of MDF, and what I'm gonna do is our line that we have here that was at the 4.5 inches back mark, we need to line it up with the edge of our board. Once we get it lined up and sandwiched between the two boards, we're going to clamp it in place. But now you need to keep an eye and remember which is the top, because that's going to be important for us, that we need to know which way is up. For us, we have our reference lines pointing up, so it's not a big deal. And here we have our setup with the top of our pie lifter facing up, and what we're going to do is we're going to heat this at this point with the heat gun, and once it's pliable, we're going to bend it up. Now, not a full 90 degree, but just below it, maybe like an 85 or an 80. So let's heat her up. Watch your hands, guys. Maybe get a pair of gloves to prevent burning yourself. This plastic gets quite warm. And let's heat this up and bend it. Now you just want to hold it in place here until it cools into that position. You can see I don't have it at a full 90 degree. It's just almost there. And there we go. It's still a little pliable. It's trying to come back. But it cools rather quickly and holds its shape. So now that we have that done, now we can move on to the next step. So the next step in our project is to unclamp this, and what we're going to do is we're going to put this back in the clamp, except we're going to put it in so that this line here at the top of our handle is parallel with our boards, just like this. And once we get that parallel, just like we did before, we're going to get it as good as we can on that line, top and bottom there, and then clamp it in place. Our next step is we're going to heat this joint here that we just lined up, and this time we're going to bend this down, and we're going to bend it down until the surface of this pie lifter is parallel with the surface here. So let's give it a try and see how we do. At this point, you should have something that looks like this with your honed edge right here on top to help you get under that piece of pie. Well, now we need to remove our lines and sand any of our sharp edges to soften them up a bit. And when you're done sanding it, I guess all that's left is to try to get someone to bake you a pie. Kind of hoping my wife is going to watch this show. Bring on the pie. And there you have it. A pie lifter. Guys, a quick project but a fun one. Some of the projects that I bring to you are quick ones, and sometimes it's great to have a quick little project that you can come out in the shop and whip it off in about a half an hour or less. This one here, start to finish, probably took me about a half an hour, 45 minutes, but I was designing it as I go and filming and that sort of thing. So you can understand where you could probably ping one off a lot faster than what I did this one. I'm hoping to try it this weekend if my wife has watched this show and made me a pie. And if you're seeing this little puppy lifting a pie over here, then I got myself some delicious homemade pie this weekend. If you're seeing pictures of me playing with a puppy here, then well, means my kids came over and brought their dog. So, guys, I want to thank you for tuning in this week. I hope you've enjoyed this project. Once again, if you want to acquire any of the materials to make one of these for yourself, you can follow the links to Omicron Plastics below. And I hope you've enjoyed it, guys. I also hope you're going to come back again next week and join me for yet another Alternative Tuesday.